Kevin Harrison from Pixel Loadout here. About a week out from Fallout 4 being released, and we've got some new details coming here and there from different sources, mostly leaks and things like that. I decided I would throw together about 10 different character builds right now that people could possibly try out once the game gets released. These all have different kind of specializations, some of them being more generalized, other ones just wanting to do like one certain thing and be really good at. This is stuff that people have been speculating and putting together even before we even had like a perk list come out. And now that we more or less have a complete idea of what that looks like, we have a better idea of how we can more effectively build characters. So with this, I hope to be able to give you some options and choices right before the game gets released, so you spend less time at character building and worrying about, oh, should I pick this or that, and be able to put something in as soon as the game launches. These are 10 different builds, and I'm going to go ahead and explain the pros and cons of them as we get to them. Before we get started, though, some preliminary stuff. This is once again based on pre-release info and some leaks as well. All this is subject to change. The day one patch could make some things more valuable and other things less. So characters are comprised of 28 points, even though that's kind of a misnomer because you actually have to have 1 point in each statistic. So really you have 21 points to spend and distribute as you see fit. This is less than you've had in other Fallout games. So where you put them is kind of important, at least to start with. This becomes less so as the game goes on because there is no level cap. This is very similar to sort of how Skyrim does things. Characters can eventually get all perks if you spend enough time playing the game, and it doesn't do anything where it ends up slowing down and crashing on you near the end of it. You can spend perk points each level in order to increase a special statistic. Now this works like intensive training has in past games, but there's no limit on it. You can do more than just 10. At the top of every skill tree, when you see that, you're going to see that you can invest a perk point to be able to increase a special stat. So if you see stuff in builds that I'm presenting a little bit later and you're like, oh, I wish I'd spent one more point here, you can do that, and you can, like I said, go further up in whatever statistic you feel like you need. There are bobbleheads in the game. Presumably these give you a free special stat. We haven't been able to 100% confirm this, so take that with a grain of salt, but know that if you end up putting 10 into any special stat, there's a chance that you're probably going to be wasting a bobblehead, so keep that in mind. We know that there are comics that can be found in the Wasteland and that they offer perks, but we don't know right now if these are all completely unique perks or if they double up on perks available in the perk tree. Granted, most perks in the perk tree have multiple ranks, so if you spend 1 or 2 points, you might be able to get another point for free from a comic. Maybe. Once again, have a better idea once the game gets released. The images that we're going to use here, these are all from the calculator that's available at vault111.com. You should go check them out if you feel like playing around with the special roller for how you can put together your character once the game launches. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first build I'm going to present here is just called the Explorer. It's probably what I'm going to end up rolling out when I start playing. This is sort of spread across pretty evenly among a lot of stats so that it's good at most things. It doesn't really specialize in anything though, but this is going to let you mess around with a lot of different options when the game starts and not necessarily have to hone in on one thing to begin with. Nice thing to note here with the calculator from Vault 1.1, they've been able to, Vault 1.1.1, yeah, all those ones, derive hit point statistics, action points, and how much carry weight you're going to have. So that's another fun thing to be able to play with. Yeah, let's go ahead and just go down what available perks that are going to make this build work. There should be a link in the video description that'll let you take a look at the perk chart if you need to see it. But to start with having enough points in strength, you can pick up both armor and blacksmith. This is going to let you build armor and melee mods. So if you want to customize what you look like and you decide you want to go melee, you've got that option there. Locksmith will let you pick locks and get more loot. I'm a big fan of just how locksmith works in these games, so I'm going to pick every single lock I possibly can. Aqua Boy is going to let you get underwater breathing. It also eliminates rads while you're in water. If you do a second rank into it, you can actually be completely undetected. There's a large portion of the Boston map that we've seen right now. It looks like it's going to be underwater. I don't know, like I said, as of now, how much underwater content there is, but still, if you want to explore everything, it's probably going to be a nice thing to have. And Charisma, which is actually it's not like a huge investment here, but you can pick between Lone Wanderer or Attack Dog, and this is going to be something that's common through some of the other builds that I have. Lone Wanderer is going to give you damage resistance and extra carry capacity if you're wandering the waste alone with no companion. You get the third rank in it, you actually get a damage buff as well. Whereas Attack Dog will let you give better commands to Dogmeat when you find him, which you're supposed to be presumably able to find him pretty early in the game. He'll also be able to hold down enemies so that you can get better accuracy in VATs. So if you want to go with just Lone Wanderer on your own, you can make Charisma 3 instead and throw a point somewhere else, but Attack Dog is at 4. Gun Nut in Intelligence lets you craft mods for guns. Guns are a pretty big deal in this game, so if you want to get the most out of them, you're probably going to want this. Hacker will let you hack terminals. This is basically Locksmith, but for computers. It's going to let you get more loot and go other places as well. Scrapper lets you salvage loot into better loot. You're going to be able to take loot that you already have, and I think you need a work table to be able to do it. But this is supposed to be a system replacement for durability, because we know that durability is not in the game anymore. But if you end up picking up extra loot and you want to salvage its components, you're probably going to want this perk. Science, which is high in intelligence, lets you build high-tech mods. I'm pretty sure these are used mainly for energy weapons. Still not entirely sure, but this will give you the option to mess around with them as you see fit. Over in agility, you've got enough points to go into sneak, so if you want to, be nimble and not be seen, you've got that option as well. And there's not a lot of points in luck in this build, but you do have enough that if you want to get Fortune Finder and Scrounger, you can end up getting more caps and more ammunition. So, like it says at the bottom, pretty good all around, but there's room to grow in whatever direction you want. Not listed on here are most of the weapon buffs as well. If you decide you want to use pistols, if you want to use single shot rifles or assault rifles or melee or fist, those are all options. I'm pretty sure the only thing you don't have access to are probably both explosives and big guns. Build number 2 here is Pack Rat, which is I think another good build to if you going into this game blind. This is all about being able to carry the most stuff, which if you've played a Fallout game before, there is a lot of stuff in the world to carry around. So if you want to try out all the cool, nifty tools, like this is what you're going to want to use. Pretty average intelligence here, low on the charisma, the agility, and the luck, but you have high strength and high perception. This build here would probably function pretty well for also not using VATs that much. So if you like to play other like first-person shooters, this is a good one to use as well. So the perks that you have, Strong Back lets you carry more stuff. More perks into that eventually make it so you can spend action points to move when you're over encumbered, or you can even fast travel when you are over encumbered as well. You have Heavy Gunner in the strength tree. This lets you use big guns more effectively. Because you have so many points in strength, you might as well go ahead and pick it up. And this lets you, there are a lot of heavy guns in there, and they'll let you adapt to a huge variety of situations. Like the downside of them being kind of heavy is negated by the fact that you can carry more stuff. Demolitions Expert is going to be available in Perception as well. This is going to let you use explosives more effectively. I'm assuming this will include heavy guns that use explosives, like missile launchers. We also know that there is a dedicated button on controllers and on keyboards now to switch between using a butt with a melee on the using a weapon to melee like butt kind of thing from like a rifle or a gun or a pistol whip. But you can also use it to throw a grenade as well, so you don't have to just equip grenades on their own. Lone Wanderer lets you carry even more stuff. These are that along with Strong Burk, those are the 2 perks that let you carry the most stuff in the wasteland. So if you want to hoard everything, you want both of those. You've got Locksmith and Hacker on this build, so you get the access to all the loot in order to fill up your backpack. Bloody Mess is kind of interesting this time around. It's still a very like minor damage buff across the board. You end up investing enough points into it, though. There is a chance that when you cause somebody to explode in a shower of blood, it will chain to other enemies and cause them to explode in a shower of blood. So this works really well with heavy weapons as well. You'll be able to mow down enemies and sometimes just be able to chain things down. And then finally, you've got gun nuts so that you can make mods for your heavy guns. So once again, this is pretty well rounded for the most part. You're going to be able to do a lot of content. And you're going to let your heavy guns do most of the talking. Less reliance on bats, though, so you're going to need to be okay with doing first-person shooter stuff compared to other builds. Up next, we've got the Dumb Luck build. I'm going to go ahead and introduce this one up front because this is an interesting mechanic that's going to be different from other Fallout games. Typically, you would have to have high intelligence in order to grow your character. This works a little bit differently this time around. Instead of high intelligence giving you more skill points, considering there aren't really skills anymore, high intelligence instead gives you more experience for the task that you do. So the higher your int, the faster you're going to level up, and considering that there's no level cap, eventually that just means you're going to end up getting more perks. There is an alternative to this, however. Instead of just doing high int, instead you can now get this new perk called Idiot Savant, which will randomly grant you 3 times, and then I think second rank is 5 times experience for doing tasks. And the lower your intelligence is, the more likely it's going to trigger. Finally, there's a thing where if you get bonus experience from that, then for a period of time, your kills give you triple experience as well. So this build is all about trying to make a sort of well-rounded build, but with the least amount of intelligence possible so that you can maximize Idiot Savant. So yeah, this is what you end up getting in place of all the intelligence perks. Like I said, Idiot Savant gives you the random burst of extra experience points. And you're going to actually find a lot of builds that I end up doing later. If I don't go high int, I'm probably going to go high luck for this perk, just because it seems so good. There's enough points in luck, though. You can get better criticals, which are going to give you more damage as well when you do manage to get a crit, which is going to be a little bit more likely since you have more luck. You've got enough points in strength to build more armor mods, which is going to be important for keeping your dumbass alive. You have access to locksmith, so you can pick locks wherever you can. Since you don't have any points in intelligence, you are basically not going to be able to hack computers at all. So some puzzles, if it's like other Fallout games, will present you with an option to either hack or to lockpick in order to get through to an area. So you're going to be relying more on the locksmith side. You've got Life Giver, which is going to give you more hit points, and if you spend enough points in Life Giver, you actually end up regenerating hit points. And because this is also a pretty heavy build into VATS, you're going to have a lot of action points based on what we've had before. You have access to Action Boy, which will make it so that you can regenerate your action points more quickly. Mysterious Stranger, since you got more luck, you get backup, which is nice. Mysterious Stranger's always been a fun perk, so you might as well have access to it. Bloody Mess is also in the luck tree. It gives you more damage, and sometimes people explode, which is always great. And then this is actually 1 point short of getting Party Boy. I think you actually need Charisma 7, and this build has 6 at the moment. Since you only have 1 int, you're not going to suffer any of the intelligence downfalls of drinking alcohol. So because of that, you might as well drink alcohol all the time. And with Party Boy, you don't have to worry about getting addicted. So that'll give you more charisma and probably more strength as well. So, like I said, this is an alternative to high intelligence builds. It's still very generalized, though, for the most part, and it will let you engage in a variety of activities. It's also very VATS friendly as well. This is the Sneaky Sniper build, which is pretty classic across most Fallout games. Usually there is some form of this that ends up working. So you're going to want to have really high perception because it gives you access to a lot of fun perks that will basically let you shoot bullets across the horizon and not have to worry about getting into conflicts. The other nice thing about this build, though, this time around, is, like I said before, the Idiot Savant perk. We don't have to have nearly as much intelligence anymore. Instead, we were already going to go ahead and get high luck because of better criticals, so we can pull off of intelligence for a little bit and spend it in points in other places to make up for that. So yeah, like in my opinion, this actually works better probably than it has in any other Fallout game, just because of how much synergy you get here. You've got Riflemen, which is for all single-shot rifles, which is going to be sniper rifles. Not only do you get a damage buff, eventually up to double damage, it also gives you armor penetration, which is good. Sniper, which is further up in the agility tree. There is a hold breath mechanic now, similar to what you find in like Call of Duty, for example, that's going to negate scope sway. So you have points in this, you have better breath control. At least I think so. Maybe there actually may not be a hold. It might just be reduced sway when you're looking down sights. A second point with that will give you a chance to knock down enemies when you're using sniper rifles, and then finally you get, I think it's 25% extra headshot damage for the third point, which is good. Night Person is also in the agility tree. Or no, this is a perception tree, sorry, and I say that about sniper as well. And when you're operating at night, you're going to have more perception, and I also believe more agility as well. The interesting part this time around is that we know for a fact that you can increase your special statistics above the cap, at least temporarily. This is because of solar powered in the endurance tree, which you get at 10, and it states that you get an extra 2 points in strength and endurance while that's active, and since you're already at max endurance, clearly it's going to be calculating more. Perception on its own is going to govern your accuracy and VATS. So if you're operating at night, which you should be in order to sneak around, and you have Night Person triggering, you're going to be able to make even harder shots than you would normally be able to with the help of VATS. Penetrator is also in the perception tree. This lets you shoot through cover. All early reports that we've heard about the game is that the enemy AI is at least a little bit smarter than it has been in the other games, and they will take cover more often. So this lets you get around that. Lone Wanderer or Attack Dog, the option is yours here. You can either shoot solo and sneak around by yourself, or you can have your dog be like essentially your spotter and hold down enemies for you to shoot, which is nice. So you've got your choice there for that. Gun Nut is going to let you craft mods for your rifles. So scopes and silencers are really what you want to worry about, and that's presumably going to give you access through this. Gunslinger and Commando are both going to be available to you as well. And this is basically backup options for when your sniper shots don't work out. You can choose to either specialize in handguns or fully automatic rifles. It's up to you. Sneak is a pretty low investment right now in, I believe, agility as well. But this is going to let you get into position better for the perfect shot. If you end up spending enough points into Sneak, you can actually re-engage into stealth when you're in combat if you're far enough away from the enemy. Mr. Sandman has also been changed around. It's still got the same dialogue option type thing for when you're next to a sleeping enemy to be able to instantly kill them. But it also now confers extra damage for silenced weapons. So this synergizes with Gunslinger, and you're hopefully going to be able to build a decent single shot rifle with a decent silencer pretty early in the game. Idiot Savant, like I said before, this is going to make up for the lower-ish intelligence. Triggers more the lower your intelligence is. 3 is still pretty low, though, so you should still be seeing it pop up pretty often. And better criticals, so you're going to be more deadly with your sneak attack crits, which should be most of your shots. If you end up spending more points into agility later, you can also pick up Ninja, which does something very similar for ranged weapons and for melee weapons. But yeah, this is classic Fallout build. You want to end the fights before they even begin. You have the highest burst damage if you can land the shot, but if the enemy does not die from that first shot and you can't take them down and then close the distance, you are also probably going to die, so keep that in mind. Next is sort of like another Steaky-ish build, but this one's a little bit more focused on melee than it is on ranged. You will still have some ranged options, but if you can close the distance on the enemy without them realizing that you're there, you can probably one-shot kill them with the way Ninja works now. So armor and blacksmith just let you build, hopefully sneaky armor and some melee mods to max out, whatever your implement of death is going to be in your hands. Big leagues is going to give you more melee weapon damage. It's going to give you a cripple chance as well, so that if you don't kill with the first hit, then hopefully, for whatever reason, you can cripple them and get away if you need to. You also get the chance to Grand Slam, which we've seen in videos before. You can just clean take off somebody's head if you get lucky enough with the 5th point in there. Locksmith is going to let you get into alternate routes, which some of them will no doubt be made for sneaky individuals. Also let you get more loot. Lone Wanderer, this build really wants to go solo here. You've got enough points here, you're going to take less damage, which with your pretty low-ish endurance is pretty important. And if you end up spending all 3 points there, you're actually going to deal more damage. Lady Killer and Black Widow, those are both there. These are just a flat damage buff against the opposite sex, which is always good. Gun Nut is going to let you craft mods. Silencers are going to be available to you for your ballistic weapons, which is nice to have. Ninja is the perk that this is built around here, and this will give you, I believe it's like a 3.5 multiplier for sneak attacks with ranged weapons at its max rank, and it's like times 10 for melee attacks that are sneak attacks. So yeah, like I said, there's a pretty good chance you're going to kill somebody if you can close that distance and they don't see you. Moving target gives you more damage resistance when you're sprinting. So yeah, if they do manage to see you, this is going to be your plan B in order to close the distance and start dealing some damage. You've got access to better criticals here, which will probably stack with Ninja. It might be a lot of overkill, actually. And then finally, Idiot Savant is going to give you the extra XP since you're pretty low on int. So I think this is going to be a really challenging melee build, but if you are up for a challenge here, get into the perfect position and get an ideal attack opportunity to unleash massive damage. Next up is the Pacifist build, which a lot of people have actually been really interested about. Since we saw the early reveal of most of the charisma tree, a lot of it is based around the ability to aim your weapon at an enemy and get them to back off. If you end up investing more points, you actually have the option to issue them orders as well. I don't know if this means fight for you or just tell them to run away. But if you're going to want to do a no-kill build, then this is probably how you're going to do it. So the important perks here, Intimidation, and Wasteland Whisper and Animal Friend, they all function the same way. They're just for different classes of enemy. Intimidation is for humans and presumably non-feral ghouls. I guess super mutants will probably fall into Wasteland Whisperer instead. But yeah, you just aim at them, and I believe the first way it starts out, they need to be lower level than you, but as it goes on, there's an increased chance even if they're not. Lady Killer and Black Widow both function with all of these, with the Intimidation perk actually, in particular. You're going to have an increased opportunity to intimidate the opposite sex when you're using that, so you might as well get points into that as well. The other important thing to get is Robotics Expert, which is going to mean a high intelligence investment. This is going to let you hack robots to turn them off. You can also tell them to self-destruct, but that sort of goes against the whole pacifist philosophy. You're also going to have enough points to sneak. So this is going to let you get around encounters that you don't feel like you're ready to take on and you don't want to try to intimidate people with. This is probably going to be how you do a lot of early stuff in the game. And you're also going to have access to Locksmith and Hacker. So hopefully if there are ways to get around conflicts, this is going to give you that option. Granted, with this build, you're not very tough when a fight does break out, so you really don't want one to break out if you can help it. But yeah, give it a shot. Hopefully you can. I don't think it's going to be possible to get through the game without killing at least 1 or 2 people, but if you really want to minimize the violence, this is how you do it. Next, but if you want to maximize your violence here, this is the Lucky Strike build, which is all about getting up close and personal and doing some damage with either your fists or a melee weapon, and hopefully getting some luck to play into it and get some better criticals out of it. You're going to have a lot of HP, a lot of damage resistance hopefully as well. Not a lot of action points though, so you're going to have to be fine with hacking and swinging away outside of bats. So the important perk to get here with the 9 points you have in strength is Rooted. This is going to give you more damage and damage resistance while you're standing still. Essentially, you just need to walk up to somebody and you're going to get something like, I think, plus 50% more damage. So that's really good. You've got your choice between Big Leagues and Iron Fist. These are the options for, either using unarmed combat or melee combat, and they both cap out at, double damage and extra chances to cripple, or like I said, Grand Slam. You've also got the option of Heavy Gunner here, so when you can't make your melee violence work, you're going to go ahead and use some good old-fashioned big gun violence instead. Armor and Blacksmith will let you craft melee and armor mods. It's good for making your melee weapons more effective and also taking more damage. Adamantium Skeleton and Endurance makes it so you don't have to worry about breaking your limbs in a brawl, which is probably going to be pretty important because typically a lot of melee combat ends up having like a lot of limb damage happen. This will probably be vital for when you start taking on Deathclaws, if that's going to be your thing. You've also got access to Chem Resistance, which will make it so that you can use Medics and Psycho a little bit more liberally. You don't have to worry about them, becoming addicted to them. You're also going to have Life Giver and Toughness, which is more HP. Actually, HP regeneration if you spend enough points in there, as well as more damage resistance. Medic gives you more effective stems and Radaway, which is probably going to be important to keeping yourself alive. It's worth noting that using a stem now actually does initiate an animation. So there is, I believe they're going to go with the new Vegas system of having your hit point bar go up slowly as opposed to just getting it all back instantly. And this build also opts for low intelligence, so we're going to get higher luck. This is going to give you better criticals and Idiot Savant in order to get more intelligence. Or, I'm sorry, more experience, since you have low intelligence. So yeah, you want to get up close and personal in a fight. You don't necessarily even want to sneak around with it. You just want to go ahead and initiate it and beat some people up. This is, quintessential tough guy. You want to deal damage and you want to go ahead and take as little as possible with all of your toughness perks. Next up is the Ghoulish Monk, which is a sort of different version of a melee build. This is kind of similar to what it was the last one, but more focused on staying alive. This is also sort of role-playing. Like, we don't believe there are any perks right now that are actually going to make you become a ghoul at the moment. Even the one that this build is named after. There might be an event in the game, we don't know, because that's something that players have been asking for. There might be a ghoul mask like there was in Fallout 3, and if all else fails, we just wait till next year with the mod, so you get like a custom race to become a ghoul. But if you want to sort of role play this, and these last few builds are going to be kind of in this vein of emphasizing a sort of role play-ish kind of aspect. This is how you're going to do it. So this is going to be a mostly unarmed build here, which is good because you actually don't need a very high strength investment in order to go ahead and get Iron Fist. Presumably you'll either be able to use your hands and get out and swipe somebody, or eventually get unarmed weapons that will factor into that. The perk that this is named after in the endurance tree, which is why we have so many points in there, is called Ghoulish. This will let you regenerate HP when you start receiving rads, which is going to be kind of important considering rads work differently now. They actually cut off your maximum HP progressively as you get more. If you look at some of the pre-release footage and stuff like that, you can actually see part of the HP bar colored red, and that's all rad damage. This perk at this max rank 2 will let you befriend ghouls as well. I believe it's categorized as just some ghouls, not all ghouls, so it's a chance, I want to say, when you encounter one. You've also got access to Cannibal, so you can eat dead things whenever you're feeling hungry. And restore some hit points. The more you invest in it, you can end up eating super mutants and other wasteland critters and things like that, and you'll get back even more HP. You'll have access to Lone Wanderer, and this plays into being an outcast. You're going to get extra damage resistance though on top of this, as well as some extra damage if you invest enough points into it. Moving target is going to make you harder to kill while you're sprinting and closing the distance, which we know that feral ghouls love to just sprint right at you and start swiping, so this plays out pretty well. Low int, high luck means idiot savant, so you get more XP to compensate for low int. And then finally, you just have a bevy of like toughness perks. Adamantium skeleton, so you don't get crippled. Life Giver gives you more HP. Toughness will eventually end up giving you 50 damage resistance for free. And then medic means that your stim packs are going to be more effective, so you'll never die essentially. But yeah, this is kind of a weird sort of alternate melee build because you don't invest that much into strength. But there's a lot of roleplay potential. So you become an unkillable ghoul, but you have to make sure that you use every part of your prey. Next up is the Anarchist build. And this is for players that decide they want to play a little bit more evil as opposed to, the savior of the wasteland. This is all going to be about using explosives and blowing everything up. If you see a drug, you're going to take it. If you see some liquor, you're going to drink it. And yeah, just going to, sort of go with your gut on this one if you want to listen to people or just kill them mid-dialogue. So important perk for this is mainly Demolition Expert, which is in the Perception tree for 5 points. You're going to just get more explosive damage. So, blow everything up. Locksmith, you get to go where you're not supposed to go. Life Giver and Toughness will make it so that you can survive your own explosives. Party Boy will make it so you don't get addicted to liquor. So you can drink it whenever you manage to find it, and just live with the consequences and see where that goes. Lone Wanderer makes it you're probably going to want to travel by yourself. I'm guessing that most people are not going to be, kosher with you blowing everything up, so might as well get some benefits for being on your own. Chemist will let you take all the drugs, so, use Psycho whenever you find it to make your explosives even more effective. Hacker will let you access computers, especially those that they don't want you to see. And then, Bloody Mess is probably going to play really well with Demolition Expert. Sometimes you're going to throw a grenade and blow somebody up, and they explode into a shower of blood, and then that's going to chain to other enemies as well. So that'll just be a fun time for everybody. Yeah, mainly a roleplay thing, but if you feel like just blowing up everybody and seeing which NPCs are not labeled as, essential, this is going to be the build to do it. And so finally, the last build that we have here is going to be the Power Armor tech. This is by far like the most specialized build that I could think of that would still be, I guess, somewhat viable. This is for people that have seen how Power Armor works, which is sort of more like a vehicle now than it's been before. Like, you're going to be a little bit slower while you're wearing it, but there are 2 perks that are available in the tree, that are in your skill tree, that are pretty high up. And they're going to give you some extra options when it comes to piloting Power Armor. So this, if you want to roleplay, kind of works in with a sort of Brotherhood of Steel mentality, which, based on leaked achievements, we know that the Brotherhood is absolutely in the game. Yeah, if you want to have access to all the fun stuff with Power Armor as soon as possible, this is going to be the build you want to do. Granted, I think if you do go this way, you're going to have a pretty tough time with the game, because you are not that tough, and yeah, outside of Power Armor, you are just gonna sort of, maybe a little bit more survivable than the sneaky sniper, but they get to at least, sneak around. So yeah, the important perks here, Pain Train, which is the level 10 strength perk. This is going to let you tackle foes that are not considered to be gigantic. And I believe each perk of that gives you more damage and will sort of make it a larger AoE when you tackle. I think this works the same way that shield tackling did in Skyrim. Over in the intelligence tree, I believe this is 9 in intelligence, is Nuclear Physicist. So we know that radiation weapons are a damage type that are in the game now. So there will be some that are focused on that. But the main thing that you want are longer lasting fusion cores. So Power Armor now all runs on a fusion core system. You'll put in a fusion core, and that's going to be the fuel for you driving the Power Armor around until that runs out. This is going to make it so that your cores will last, I think, up to 50% longer. If you end up investing all 3 points, you can actually end up using the fusion cores as grenades. So assume these will probably work like Nuka grenades from Fallout 3. But that's just a guess right now. So those are both really high point investments, and it's kind of left like, what else can you do when you go high strength, high intelligence? Well, you can pick up heavy gunner, and that's probably going to be like a thing you're going to want to do because the only thing that matches power armor is using a very large gun to go with it, like a big mini gun that we've seen, in the video footage. So might as well go for that. Steady aim is also going to be available to you. This is going to let you keep your big guns on target and not have to use aim down sight stuff as much. You're also going to have armor. This is going to let you make armor mods, and hopefully you won't die as fast. I think this also plays into customizing your power armor. Not entirely sure on that one, but it seems like a logical jump. Toughness and life gear are going to be really important in order to stay alive, since you don't have that much HP based on like other character builds that have higher endurance. Science is going to let you make high-tech mods, so if you get a big gun that shoots lasers, or you just decide you want to use laser guns in general, you have that option. Otherwise, Gun Nut is available so that you can make mods for your heavy weapons. We've seen some pretty like gnarly minigun mods and loading screens so far, so keep that in mind. And then Bloody Mess, yeah, just make people explode into little piles of chunks, and if you're lucky, a little chain as well, and it'll wash right off the power armor, no big deal. So this is an extra focus, like I said, on getting the most out of power armor. You're going to want to try to do as much as you possibly can in power armor and let those fusion cores like get stretched out as far as possible. Like with any luck, they'll be craftable at some point in the game, so you don't have to worry about tracking them down. My guess is that they'll be pretty rare on the outset, not like mini nuke rare, but still looking in a lot of containers to be able to find it, or hopefully not just like predetermined story points. We do know that you can go inside structures as well in power armor, so you don't have to worry about just leaving it outside. But yeah, if you want to roleplay that Brotherhood of Steel Initiate and use power armor up front and get the most out of it, because everybody will be able to use power armor, this is how you do it. Yeah, so that's going to do it for all of the builds that I came up with for Fallout 4. Go ahead and give them a shot. If you feel like they're going to be your thing, let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and check out more of our stuff at pixelloadout.wordpress.com. Once again, this is Kevin Harrison, and I'll see you in a week for Fallout 4.